China has sharply rebuked Australia over the federal government's decision to scrap two deals involving the Victorian government, accusing Canberra of an unreasonable and provocative move. The Foreign Minister Marise Payne last night announced she was cancelling 4 agreements between Victoria and foreign nations, including 2 deals with China under its Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative.
In a statement overnight, the Chinese embassy says it shows the Australian government has no sincerity in improving relations between the two countries. Australian exports have already been hit hard by Chinese trade sanctions and now, well, more could be on the way. Straight to Matt Doran at Parliament House. Good morning to you, Matt. We kind of knew this was going to be coming, didn't we? But take us through it anyway.
Yeah, the federal government had long said that it wasn't aiming its new powers to rip up or veto any international agreements that state and local governments and institutions like universities would have with international governments. It says it wasn't trying to target one country alone, but even at the moment when these laws were first floated last year, the questions immediately jumped to the Victorian Belt and Road deal between the Victorian government and the Chinese government. There are 2 Belt and Road deals, one signed in 2018, one signed in 2019. And while they weren't binding, they weren't tying the Victorian government into any particular projects, they certainly raised concerns here in Canberra that it was undermining Australia's national stance or the federal policy, which was not to engage on that Belt and Road Initiative. For people wondering what the Belt and Road Initiative is, it's Beijing's investment vehicle. It is their plan to spread Chinese influence around the country, to offer Chinese funding for infrastructure projects right across the world, and it's dubbed the 21st Century Silk Road. There have been concerns that it's not only spreading Chinese influence across the world, but also tying some smaller developed nations, including in the Pacific, to heavy loans and debts that they are never going to get out of, and therefore would be beholden to the demands of the Chinese government as a result. But these 2 deals are 2 of 4 that were scrapped last night by the Foreign Minister Marise Payne. There were 1,000 deals brought to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's attention, but only these 4 were indeed targeted by the Foreign Minister, and it's the first time that she has used these powers since they passed Parliament in November last year.
So how's China reacted?
Pretty angrily, as you can imagine. The Chinese embassy here in Canberra issued a statement late last night saying that this was a provocative move. They have said that this is another example of Australia showing no sincerity in improving China-Australia relations, saying it's bound to bring further damage to bilateral relations and will only end up hurting itself. Further damage to bilateral relations that are already very, very fraught, Lisa. As you mentioned, there are massive tariffs being slapped on Australian products in China. There are disputes between Australia and China in the World Trade Organization. There are coal ships that are currently stuck off the coast of China, not being able to unload their exports there because of those concerns as well. So this is a very fraught relationship between the two countries. Ministers can't even get their counterparts to answer the phone to them. So this is another further souring of that relationship. I believe we might have some of Marise Payne, the Foreign Minister, who was speaking a short time ago on the ABC's AM program, denying that this is a power, that these ripping up of these deals is focused on China alone.
It's about ensuring that we have a consistent approach to foreign policy across all levels of government, and it isn't about any one country. It's most certainly not intended to harm Australia's relationships with any countries. We are always, as I've been consistent in saying, very careful and considered in how we do this, but we are not going to move away from our principles, which are about protecting and advocating for our sovereignty and our national interests.
And Marise Payne is in New Zealand, about to meet her counterparts there. No doubt China will be on the agenda. Matt Doran, thank you.